Minister for Business Mark Prisk and Decentralisation Minister Greg Clark has given official approval for a new Tyneside LEP covering a further 7 local authority areas. It joins Teesside and 26 other partnerships announced since the government's local growth white paper, which was published in October. We spoke to Newcastle City Council leader David Faulkner about the new announcement and to see if it's all as black and white as it seems. Obviously, we've got the announcement of the second LEP now, North East LEP. Is it positive news? Do you welcome that move?
It's good news. We should have perhaps set it up a little bit earlier, but there was a long and genuine debate about what was the best structure. I regret still the loss of the Regional Development Agency because it did a good job, but I think the new local economic partnership will bring together in an accountable way local authorities, business, higher education institutions around a clear vision for our LEP area. So I'm optimistic.
Can you maybe tell me the areas that it covers and the kind of things that it'll be doing, the functions of the new system?
The main thrust of the LEP will be around promoting and stimulating enterprise and new jobs and new industries, supporting and encouraging the further development of those things that we think will be unique and special to our area, like the offshore wind generation, like electric vehicles, supporting skills development because we need to up our game in that particular regard, and also lobbying and doing work around transport infrastructure and connectivity so we have the best setting for the region. That's the key priority areas.
Going forward, do you think there's any areas that give you some concern?
It needs really to have some resource to make it successful. You can't run it on nothing, on fresh air. I'm encouraged that the Deputy Prime Minister had said when we spoke to him recently that if there are additional powers or responsibilities that LEPs want, that we shouldn't be afraid to lobby government and to approach him about that. So that's what we'll be doing, because we think it needs to have resource and authority and a strong remit, and then it will have the real backing of all the sectors in the region, and it will be a success.
Obviously, we've got the second LEP now. Originally, there were 4 or 5 different proposals across the North East. Do you think it's more of a positive move now that there's only 2 LEPs rather than 4 or 5?
I was one of the people who would have wanted 1 for the North East. I think that would have been best. But the Tees Valley local authorities had their own ambitions, and it's not up to us to thwart those ambitions. So we have the rest of the region together. I think that's better, yes. I think there are some things that are given. I do truly believe that Newcastle and Gateshead and its economy is at the heart of the LEP, but every local authority area, every part of that wider LEP region has some specialisms, something major to contribute, and we need to work together collaboratively. We need to make sure our employers work together and provide that kind of leadership. So yes, I think we've ended up with something that perhaps wasn't the first choice for some of us, but will work.
Will there be any collaboration between the new LEP and Tees Valley? Will there be any scope for
Yes.
2 parties to work together?
Yes, there certainly will be. We'd want to do that. And there is, of course, also going to be set up, or being set up now, in shadow form, a Northeastern Economic Partnership. So that's the thing that will keep the region together, will allow us to coordinate things so that, for example, if we're putting in bids to the new growth fund or seeking government funding via other central government pots of money, we can coordinate across the region rather than try and duplicate and fall over each other. So yes, there'll be a lot of collaboration.
So there might be some positives to come out of the dark cloud, do you think?
I think it'll be a very difficult time for local government next year as well. I still don't really understand why the national government wanted to front load these cuts, so 30% over 4 years, but 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% in the first year. That makes it tough. You need time to plan and prepare for these, and they need to give us the freedom to be able to manage it over a period of time. We haven't quite got that yet, but we're still lobbying.
Prime Minister David Cameron was in the region recently, and he said one or 2 interesting comments about the North-South divide with relation to spending cuts, and he actually put across the point that the South, if anything, might actually be coming off a little bit worse than the North. Were you surprised by those comments?
I was very surprised to hear those comments because they're not true. And I think the civil servants who've been driving this, particularly the Treasury, do know the truth. And the truth is that if you look at on a cash lost or a per head basis, areas like the North East, not just a North-South thing, there are some London boroughs that are deprived as well, but areas like the North East with high levels of deprivation lose out much more than areas in the south of England. And it's because of the formula. You have to understand and get into the detail. That, I'm told, is not the intention of the government, so they need to change the arrangements. They need to change the formula for local government spending. And if they don't do so, then they will have failed to pass their own fairness test.